Welcome everyone. Today we are going to be learning how to connect to the Twitter API with PHP. We are going to be writing a tweet with a script and then getting a list of our tweets with a script. By the end of this video, we will have a couple scripts written. Tweet.php, which is going to post a tweet to Twitter, and we're going to have a getTweets.php, which will get us a list of our current tweets. I'm going to run this tweet.php, and it's going to spit me back an array of the tweet that I just tweeted through the API. If I head over to Twitter and I look at my most recent tweets, we will see the tweet posted through the script. The getTweets.php file is going to grab onto the last tweet that I just tweeted. Here we got my profile picture, my username, and the last tweet that I tweeted and when it was tweeted at. Before we can start coding, we are going to need a Twitter app. This is going to give us our access tokens, API secrets that we need to enter in the code in order to talk to the API. We're going to head over to developer.twitter.com/en/apps, and then you're going to click on the create an app button up here in the top right. So I've already signed up for a developer account on Twitter. You might need to go through those steps first in order to become a developer, and then you are able to create an app. We're going to give ourselves an app name, app description, for my own website here. We're just going to copy this right here, put that right there, hit create, blah, 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 create. Thank you for giving us our app, Twitter. The information we are looking for is on the keys and tokens tab. We have our key and our secret. Now we need to create an access token. This will also be required in our code. Click create, it'll refresh, and we have an access token and an access token secret. Now we can start coding. The first thing we're going to do is create a config.php file. This config file is going to hold the credentials from our app that we just created. We are going to create 4 defines, one for the consumer key, the consumer secret, the access token, and the access token secret. Once we have these defined set up, we're going to want to plug in our app credentials from our app dashboard. We are ready to code up our tweet.php file. I'm going to create a tweet.php right here. I'm going to open that up right alongside our config file, and we're going to get going here. First thing we're going to want to do is require our config file, which has all our credentials in it. The next thing we're going to want to require is the Twitter API wrapper helper, a Twitter-API-PHP. Search for that on GitHub and download it. I'm going to click on the download zip file. We're going to go to our desktop, we're going to extract it and open it. The only important file in here is right here. It's called Twitter API Exchange. I'm going to copy that file. I'm going to paste that into my directory with the tweet.php. Now we have our credentials and we have our require on the Twitter wrapper, which is going to help us talk to the API. First off, we're going to create a settings array. This is where we are going to place all of the credentials that we've defined in our config file. Now we are going to define the endpoint. If we head over to the Twitter documentation, we can get all the details on how to post a tweet. So I'm here at the post, retrieve, and engage with tweets. So it says updates the authenticating user's current status, also known as tweeting. Let's scroll down a little bit and we'll find the endpoint URL. This endpoint URL right here is what we're going to want to use in our code. URL equals Twitter update.json. Hop back to the documentation and we can see resource information is telling us what we're going to get back. Below that is the parameters. This is all the things we can pass along to Twitter when we hit this endpoint. The main thing here is the status, which is the tweet. Back in our code, we are going to specify our data. This is what will be sent along to this URL as a post. Our API data is going to specify all of the parameters that we saw back in the documentation. So I'm going to pass in the status. Now it's time to set up the call. First thing we're going to do is we're going to create a new Twitter object. In order to create a new Twitter object, we need our settings, and our settings contain all of our apps credentials. We're going to pass along this array into our new Twitter object. Once our Twitter object has been created, we are going to add on the post fields that are going to go along with the request. In this case, our tweet. After we set our post fields, we are ready to make the request. This is where we're actually going to hit the API and post our tweet. I am also passing in a few parameters to the perform request function. My localhost obviously does not have a cert. If I don't pass these parameters in, I will get an error and the tweet will not post. Only thing left to do now is echo out our response. And that is going to wrap up our tweet.php script. Hit up our local host. All right, we see we have our config, Twitter exchange, and our tweet file. Let's run this tweet file and see what happens. Oh, looks like we have an error. What did we do wrong? Twitter consumer, that's spelt wrong. Twitter consumer secret doesn't need an E on there. Go back to the browser and let's refresh it. Another error. Build authorization header must be of type array. Build authorization. What did I miss? Oh, I missed the most important part. After we set up our settings here, we have to build the OAuth connection. After we set up our Twitter object, we have to tell it the endpoint and the request method type. Now that we have that added, we refresh the page again. Perfect, no more errors. So we see we have printed out our tweet that got posted to Twitter. Just to be sure this posted, I'm going to hop over to my Twitter account. I'm going to refresh my Twitter page. Got our tweet from our script. Now that we have successfully posted to Twitter with a PHP script, let's create a script that will get our most recent tweet, this tweet. I'm going to copy the tweet.php. I'm going to rename this one to get tweets. We're going to open that one up. This script is going to get our most recent tweet. The top half is going to be the same. We still have our require config, we're using the Twitter wrapper, and our settings are going to be the same because we're using our same app. Everything down here, though, is going to change a little bit. We're going to be hitting a different endpoint. It's going to be a different request method, and the data is going to be different. I'm going to hop over to the Twitter API documentation, and I'm going to look at the get tweet timeline. First thing to note is it's a get request, not a post request, like our previous script was. So we can head over to our script and change it to get. Now let's read the description. This returns a collection of most recent tweets posted by the user indicated by the screen name or user ID. Scroll down a little farther, we see here's the resource URL, the endpoint we want to hit. We're going to copy that. Here's our endpoint. We're going to update that to statuses/usertimeline.json. Scroll down a little farther and we're going to see some parameters. I'm looking for, here we go, screen name. So that'll be my Twitter screen name. Next thing I'm looking for is right here, the count. And I'm going to specify that count to be 1 because I want to grab onto my most recent tweet. These are the two get parameters we will be passing along to the endpoint user timeline. Since this is a get request, we need to specify the get fields. Like we saw in the API documentation, we have a screen name and a count. So I'm going to specify the screen name to be my Twitter username. The count is saying how many tweets would you like to get back. Now we can set up the call. We're going to leave this one the same. After that, we need to set our get field. Instead of setting the post fields here, we're going to do a set get fields. And we're going to specify this as the get fields variable. Sorry, it's get field. Get field, not fields. We're ready to perform the request. Again, like in the last request, we're going to specify some extra options in here because I'm running this locally. So I'm going to create tweets and we're going to decode our response. So that's a true, meaning we are going to get back a nice PHP array. Save that and we're going to head over to the browser. We're going to see an array. It's going to give us our most recent tweet. Got this awesome script written using PHP tweet. It's going to give us our hashtags, the user that wrote it, a few other things, and that's the tweet. Now we want to pretty this up just a little bit. So I'm going to head back over to our gettweets.php file. We're going to comment this out. We're going to put in an h1 tag. We're going to say latest tweet. Under here, we're going to loop over each tweet. So down here, we're looping over all the tweets we got back up here. Even though we specified 1, it's still in an array. We could specify 1, 10, 20, how many of our tweets you want to get back. So inside each one, we're going to first display the user's profile image. We're in the user array, and we're getting the profile image URL right here. That is the array key we are using for the source of the profile image. I'm going to place that right in there. And then we're going to create a link for that user's username so we can link to their Twitter page. The link can also be found in their user array, and it's their screen name. So twitter.com/their username. Will take them to their profile page. Inside here, we're going to print out their username. Bold it out to emphasize it, and add on an @ symbol before it. After that, we're going to say they tweeted, a few line breaks, and we're going to echo out their tweet, which is just the array key text. A few more line breaks, and we're going to echo out when they tweeted it. The date. It's not text. This time, it's created_@. This will give us the date they tweeted this tweet on. Save that, put a few more breaks below this, and we're going to check out the browser. There we go. We got my latest tweet, profile image right here, and my Twitter username. If I click on this, it's going to take me to my Twitter page. Now you can go ahead and style up this however you want. Well, that's going to do it for this video. We have successfully posted a tweet with a PHP script and retrieved our most recent tweet with a PHP script. I hope you guys learned something from this video. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I'll catch you later.